Hello, 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 and welcome everyone. We are here tonight on the Pivot Poll, and we are excited for our Friday night live. I don't know what you guys are doing, but I know what I'm doing. I'm preparing to have a good time tonight. Yes. And I just want to welcome everyone who is out there joining us tonight here on the Pivot Poll. I am excited because I get to share this panel tonight with some phenomenal women. And for those of you who have not joined us before, they are not strangers to the Pivot Poll. They have been with us before. Several weeks ago, these ladies showed up and what I call showed out on the Pivot Poll with a letter to your younger self, falling forward. So I want to take this time to welcome you ladies back to the Pivot Poll. Welcome Gloria V, welcome Karen, welcome Noelle, and welcome Tiffany. We are glad to have you. And hey, Heather, to my bestie who I share this platform with every week.
Hello.
Yes, we are just excited tonight because we get an opportunity to just bask in the presence of the ladies, their perspectives, their realness, all that they come to bring that was such a gift. And we could not imagine not bringing them back again. And so we started maneuvering behind the scenes. Okay, when can we get these ladies back? And they all accepted. And we were so very grateful. So to everyone, we do welcome you. So tonight we have the pleasure, as some of you probably already know and have seen our advertisements, tonight we are going to chat about the 5 love languages. How do you give and how do you receive love? And I think there's no better panel than we could have than the ladies that are sitting here tonight, because as I shared with you guys the last time, every one of these ladies are believers in Christ. So these are our sisters in the Lord. And so we are glad to have them here. And as believers in Christ, love is an area that we should not only be interested in, but we should seek to grow and to develop in as much as possible. So one of the things when I was preparing for this show, I started thinking about when the disciples asked Jesus, what was the greatest commandment? He replied that you should love the Lord God with all your heart, all your mind, and all of your soul. And then we are to love our neighbors as ourselves. So So love is the very foundation of our faith. It's the foundation of who we are and how we represent God in the earth. And so through Christ. And so we try to really demonstrate that love in everything that we do and everything that we are, as it relates to not just our significant others, our spouses, or someone you're dating, someone you love, but your children, your parents and siblings and co-workers, and the list goes on and on. So tonight, we're going to dig on in to the 5 love languages. So for those of you who have not heard of the 5 love languages, we just want to take a few minutes to educate you so that you can get in on this discussion very well. The 5 love languages were established by Dr. Gary Chapman in his research. And so the book is fairly popular. So there are many of you who may be very much familiar with some of his work. But if you have not heard of his book, if you haven't had the opportunity to identify your love language, we're going to link that quiz in our chat before the night is over. We're going to hope that you go and check it out so that you can find out where you stand on the spectrum and weigh in with us, even if you come back and let us know where you stand. So in looking at the 5 love languages, there are 5 that we want to share with you tonight. And the first of those are words of affirmation. The first love language is words of affirmation, saying something supportive to your partner or to your children or to your whoever that person may be, words of affirmation. And the second one is acts of service, doing helpful things for your partner or for those that are in your life. So we have words of affirmation, acts of service, and then for those of you who like your time, quality time, spending meaningful time with the people that you love, including your partner, your husband, your spouse, significant other, whoever that might be. And then fourth, we've got receiving gifts. For those of you who like somebody put a bow on it, this is for you. Okay, receiving gifts and giving your partner gifts that let them know, okay, hey, I've been thinking about you while you weren't with me, and I wanted to show you that. So here's something special. And lastly, for those who like to cuddle up on the couch and hold hands and spend time gazing into each other's eyes, this is for you. Physical touch is being close to and caressed by your partner, not necessarily even in a sexual manner, but just to be with somebody, spending quality time with that person. So, all right, ladies, so come on with it. I want you guys to reveal here on the pivot poll, what is your primary love language? And I'm going to start with Glory V. What's your primary love language?
So, I took a quiz to double check what it was. And it's actually my first one. The one that I like to receive is words of affirmation. And I agreed with that quiz. I really enjoy receiving feedback, from my spouse, from others, from friends, even in my job. I tend to be a little bit, somewhat humble in certain areas, but I like to receive, great job, you look great, or, I'm proud of you. And those are the kind of things that I really enjoy, which is a little bit opposite of how I give. Okay. But I don't know if we're going to talk about that at this moment, so I'll just stop there.
Okay, well, tell me, Karen, what about you? What is your primary love language?
Oh, I'm identical to Glory V.
Okay.
Words of affirmation work for me, baby. If you want to love Karen, I need you to tell me how beautiful I am, how wonderful I am. Okay. Just as her, I'm pretty humble when it comes to things, particularly on my job. So for accolades and things like that, I don't really look to have the light shine on me too hard in that regard. But when it comes to my marriage and family, I expect those words of affirmation. Lay it on me. I'm a words girl. I'm a words girl.
I love it. I love it. She said, lay it on me. All right. What about you, Noelle? What's your primary love language?
So my primary love language would be acts of service.
Okay.
And that is, having the dishes clean, my dinner made, the house picked up, the kids to bed on time if it's a school night. So
Mm-hmm.
that would be my primary love language.
Okay, okay. And Miss Tiffany, how about you? How do you receive love?
I receive love after taking the quiz. I did as well as Gloria V, just to see had the seasons changed. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, they had, from words of affirmation to quality time. But I can absolutely agree with my sisters on this panel that words of affirmation to me opens the door to how much quality time we will have if it's truly quality.
Okay.
What you say means everything.
All right. Come on now, Tiffany. I feel you on that.
Right.
Now to my bestie, what about you, Heather? What's your primary love language?
Well, my primary love language is words of affirmation. I too, like Laura V and Karen, at work, it's not that because I don't need that at work. But in my intimate relationships and friendships, I definitely like, the thank yous, I love yous, the words of affirmation that's what makes me tick.
Okay, awesome. Did anybody happen to have what they feel like is a secondary love language? Like, hey, this is my primary, but I've got some other ways that you can kind of touch me too. Gorvi, you're shaking your head. Talk to me.
Well, yes. My highest next one near affirmations was quality time. And it's kind of interesting that Tiffany had mentioned about, depending what you say, is how much time you get. But I really enjoy spending time, doing things with my spouse. Sometimes, with my young adults, because now I have young adults. I'm always saying, so okay, I'm texting. So what are we planning this time? Like, I really want you guys just to do something. Let's just do something random as a family. And so I really, that's really what I enjoy. And I do that also with my best friend, to spend quality time with her and do different things. And so I realized that is a true one. And then I feel that I also give that back to people as well at certain points of time as well.
Okay, Karen, what about you? Did you have a secondary one at all?
I did. And actually, I had two that were tied for second.
Okay.
And those were physical touch and quality time.
Okay.
The two, in terms of people that I love, that I care about, whom I'm close with, I love holding hands. I love the sitting close, the hugs, the sincere hugs. All of those were right in with quality time. I need my time with you. If we're girlfriends, girl, we got to spend time together.
Right.
We got to get together. My husband and I need time with you. My children, when they don't call, 3 of them are in college. When they don't call, your mama needs time with you. Where are you?
Right.
Show up. Let's go eat. Let's go do something together. So those two were tied neck and neck. Quality time and physical touch.
Okay. Okay. And what about you, Noelle?
So my secondary one was words of affirmation. And, I definitely can relate to all of the other ladies. That was your first one. So I definitely, want to hear from hubby. Babe, you looking good today. I like your hair. I like the way you smell. Proud of you, just to, just all of those things, and just to share in moments when, when I succeed at doing something, or he likes the way that I did something. So I definitely can relate to that one as well. Those two, my top two were actually very close. So it was only like 3% off. So
Okay. Awesome. What about you, Tiffany?
Well, in keeping with the recent results,
Okay.
words of affirmation did not come in my top two, surprisingly.
Okay.
It was quality. No, I'm sorry. It was gifts. It was gifts of service, or
Okay.
I think that
Acts of service?
are acts of service.
Right.
That was the one, and I won't say that that's surprising to me, but the way the questions were posed, really in this season, I think as you have entrepreneurial endeavors and just all those things, how someone supports you and shows up in your life actually must be higher on my list than it has been in the past. So
Okay.
I'm surprised at my own results.
Okay. And yeah, I feel you on that. Let me ask you guys this question. Do you find that the way that you give love is the same way that you need to receive it? Have you found yourself in a position where you seem to be giving love the same way you need to receive love? Gloria, I'm gonna start with you again. I'm gonna pick on you tonight.
Oh, I'm the first one. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I gotta admit, I fail in this department.
Okay.
In the sense of how I expect it and how I give it, it doesn't always match up right.
Okay.
If I understood correctly the question,
Yeah.
just because I don't know, I've never been such a touchy-feely type person, in the sense of, even though I communicate and I talk and I'm loud and I like to have fun, but when it comes to very touchy-feely, it's really hard for me to be able to just go quickly and hug somebody. And I tend to be a little bit guarded. I don't know. And so even, in my own relationship with my husband at the beginning, I was kind of like, but at the same time, I kind of had to learn that and process through that. And if you ask my spouse, I sometimes have a hard time just saying certain things or kind of reciprocate certain things back. And it's not that I don't love the person, because I do love the person. I couldn't imagine myself without my husband and my kids and all this other stuff. It's just I guess because I didn't experience it 100% when I was younger, that I think, but I've been working on it and doing better.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. What about you, Karen? What about the way you give?
I think I'm similar to Glory V in that I tend to share a lot of words of affirmation with people. I'm a natural motivator, a natural encourager. So I'm big with words. I love to try to build people's confidence and make them feel great about either what they're going through or about themselves. So words of affirmation is my way of sharing love quite a bit. And oftentimes that's not number one love language for the recipient. So they're like, yeah, that's cute that you love me, but come on, show me that you love me. Or can you serve me, or can you buy me something? I just know you love me when you do that. And so getting it right, learning in the moments and learning that it can shift in any given moment is, it takes a lot of maturity and a lot of processing and a lot of reflection and being intentional about wanting healthy relationships and wanting to put the work in.
All right. It was excellent. Great job. What about you, Noelle? Do you find yourself giving love the same way you receive it, or how's that work for you?
I just, without even thinking about it, I automatically will give it the way that I would like to receive it. And, I do understand that's not the best way to do it because everybody is different.
Right.
And so, I have learned that, it does take some thought into, okay, well, how would my husband, want me to respond, or how would my kids want me to respond? And so, we're all different. And I noticed that I can kind of overwork myself because my love language is acts of service. So honey, I can be working myself, what I'm saying? And I'm like, I'm trying to please them. And, I'm doing a good job at it, because that's how I want to receive it. But that ain't what they want all the time.
Yeah. So. That's good, Noelle. You said a thing to me, girl. I'm gonna walk away with some info tonight because I feel like I've been doing that. Tiffany, go ahead, Tiffany. Talk to me.
I would definitely just kind of agree with the rest of my sisters here that, how I would definitely, and because I think I took the test years ago, I'd always really came in agreement with words of affirmation. So I tried to give it because that's the way I'd want to receive it. And in like manner, a lot of times that's not what people need. Some people, I hear the words, but show me. And again, that quality time is the next door, because if we haven't spent a lot of time getting to know each other, I may be speaking your language incorrectly, or there can always be other things, like I've heard on the flip side, like just assumptions people make. And if they're not affirmed, if you don't validate, hey, I want you here. When you don't say things very, very clearly, I can assume because you're here, you want to be here, but maybe you're just here because this is the closest couch near me or whatever. You know what I mean? And so sometimes speaking it correctly to someone else really does take the quality time, I think, for me to get to know how to best serve that need and speak that language more fluently.
Oh my gosh, this is a wealth. You guys tonight. I'm learning as I'm like, come on with it, because this is good. Now I'm going to share mine. Mine is definitely acts of service. My love language is acts of service. Like, I want you to help me clean up. I want you to do the laundry. I want you to do the car. I want, these are the things that I want, even from my children. Like, that's what I need. If I have a burden and I know you see that burden, I need you to help me take up the burden. I feel loved. I feel real good and loved right there. I do see a positive correlation in the way that I give, because I like Noelle. Oh my God, Noelle, you said a mouthful. I'm working myself trying to show people I love them by what I'm doing, but that's not always the way. Oh my gosh, this is revelatory already at 9:19. So you said a whole bunch right there. A lot of times we are, and what it seems to be, we're expressing the way we receive. And so, in this journey, we kind of find out we need to pay attention. Pay attention to what other people need. So what I want to do is I want to shift a little bit, and I want to talk about romantic love. I want to talk about the type of love you find in your spouse and a significant other, and the concept of falling in love. The concept of falling in love. I think everybody at some point has been in love, has fallen in love. Some people fall out of love, right? All of those concepts and the way that we operate as we are in those romantic relationships. Tell me, how important now, looking at your life, where you stand right now, whatever your history is, wherever you've been, whatever your experiences have been, how important is it, or was it, that you knew your love language as it relates to a partner? How important is it, or was it? And how did it affect you? Like, for real, tell me how important that has been for you. And I'm going to start with Karen this time. I'm going to give Glory V a break. I'm going to start with Karen this time.
I was over here like, oh my goodness, she is all in my lane. So
okay, come on now, drive it.
That falling in love, knowing that you're in love when that person, you find yourself where you can't be without them. You find yourself that when something great happens and they're the first person that you want to call. They're that person that you want to share those moments with, those funny moments with, those moments when you just want to let your hair down and be silly and be crazy, and they accept you and they join you in the craziness.
Yes.
That romantic love where you don't even have to be physical. You don't have to be sexual, but you just have to be intimate.
All right.
It's a hand placed on a hand. I've experienced that in growth with my husband. We've been married almost 24 years this year. And so we've learned how to love each other. He took the test with me.
Oh,
and
wow.
So, yeah, he took the test with me. And I had taken it by myself years ago, but he took the test with me 2 nights ago. And he was, it's physical touch, girl. It's physical touch. So knowing that, on the days and times, even when I don't want to tap in to the physical realm with him, I find that inner push because I know I'm going to need him
Oh my.
to tap into my words of affirmation. So I find I dig deep and I find the romantic love to give him the physical touch, to speak his language so that he can be empowered to exchange and return that to me. So
Karen.
that took a long time. Okay.
Girl, you good.
That took years of growth and years of trial and test, but it's there. And we have to work on it every day. Okay. We're very intentional about it.
Yes. That was good, Karen. Thank you so much. Is anybody else burning in your spirit? You just want to throw your hand up. Anybody else want to go right now? I don't want to call a name, but you think anybody say, hey, I just got something on that. I got something hot on that right now. Just go ahead. Who is it?
Anybody.
I'm going to call a name. I'm going to call Glory V. She up there smiling.
When this is, I have to admit, because that when it comes to these kind of topics, well, at least in this area, I've always tried to avoid when they would do things in church. Like I would be busy helping in the couples things when they would try to say, oh, play these games and how do you know your husband and all that other stuff. I don't know. It was just something that I don't know how to explain it, but anyhow, but going to the question though, I agree with Karen in some aspects. We turned 25 years in September this fall of being married. So, the silver platinum year. And, one of the things that I definitely agree with is about growing. You have to work at it because you go through seasons and where, like I mentioned earlier, you love this person and you can't see yourself without this person, but you experience those areas and where you're like, okay, if you say one thing once more or you do something else, your love language starts shifting on you, and you can end up, not practicing your love language. And so you have to be intentional. You definitely always have to be intentional about expressing that. And we always find ways to do certain things. We'll be like, because we have young adults now and, they're 19 and 22, we're like, we're not coming back this weekend. They're like, oh, okay. And, so we'll like go off somewhere and spend the weekend somewhere. We like to sightsee together. It's our time to kind of like just talk about different topics, how we're feeling and things like that. And obviously the romanticism involves in that and the physical and the sexual and everything. But it's the whole fact that you have to work at it. And your love language, once you identify it, and it may change at different seasons of time. But I think what's important and it's key is communication. Something that Karen said, you have to understand what is the other person's love language in order for you to try your best to work at that. And then you also get the reciprocal that they're doing the same what you need as well.
Yeah. Awesome. Noelle or Tiffany, either one of you all want to chime in on that at all? Any thoughts at all on that one? Y'all smiling at me. Go ahead, Noelle.
So I was going to say, I definitely agree with you, Glory V. You hit on a lot of points from my perspective. And Andretta, when you were mentioning, falling in love, I think the communication, like what Glory V was saying, that's key because, I'm like one to want to communicate what my love language is. And, and to me, that opens up a conversation to find out what your significant other's language is. So that's what I'm always trying to express mine, and sometimes I might just be hitting on it, because me and my husband, we're going to be 19 years, and so I can't relate into going through different times and different seasons, and sometimes it just needs to be a little reminder, can you do the dishes tonight?
I love
And
it.
that's right. And so, and that goes both ways. I think sometimes I might need a little bit of reminder of what his love language is, because I also had him take the test.
Oh,
Okay. And what was it?
And so his top love language was quality time.
Oh,
And his second top was physical touch.
okay. Okay. Awesome.
So
I love that you ladies did that with your
yeah.
spouses so we can figure out what that. Okay. Okay. Okay.
So yeah, so that was interesting, and that kind of just affirmed what I already knew about him. But it was good just to see that, just in black and white. And so I sent him mine, and then he sent me his. So I'm like, that just be good just to keep, just to kind of refer back to. You never know, just for maybe like a special occasion. Okay, well, what would he like? So, and just to kind of plan according to that. So, I mean, we know each other very well after this, after being together this long. But,
Mhm.
sometimes, it's good just to kind of be back into that perspective to make sure that I'm not giving what I want to receive. If it's
Mhm.
supposed to be something special for him, make sure that it is special for him, and that
Mhm.
it would come across that way to him.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. That's really good. That's really, really good. I see you smiling down there, Tiffany. We're gonna skip this one, or you gonna come on in on this one?
I'll come on in. I'll
Come
come
on in.
on
I'm
in
inviting you
because
in.
I think I have a slightly unique perspective
Sure.
than most of my panel
Mhm.
sisters, and that is, I'm in a single season,
Mhm.
and I am very grateful to have had the opportunity to really revisit this chapter
Mhm.
in more in depth. Now, I never thought I would be single quite this long, so I was trying to
Mhm.
hurry God along. But what I realized through the dating process is that there's a sixth love language for
Mm.
me, and that is humor and comedy,
Oh.
humor and making, the ability to
Wow.
make me laugh. That is where, if
Mm.
you can do those things, it brings a lot of the extra, stuff down, the walls, the barriers. So if you can speak that language, I enjoy making people laugh. I don't
Mm.
try to, but I do like making people laugh. But if
Mhm.
romantically, if a guy can have me laughing at him more than
Mhm.
I'm making him laugh, you have struck a major chord. So
Wow.
I
Wow.
think that humor is absolutely the sixth love language.
Oh, wow. That's an awesome perspective.
Tiffany just marketed. She's marketing. She's marketing. Y'all heard that? Facebook Live. Y'all heard that? You better know how to make her laugh, honey.
That's
Better get
right.
them jokes together.
Ooh.
I
Mm.
love it. She said you better get them jokes together. I love that.
Get them jokes.
But you know what? I never thought about that before. Wow, that's an awesome way to think outside of the box,
It is.
because humor is a big deal,
Big deal.
as far as people and the way they connect, and being able to connect through being able to laugh together,
Right, right.
And so I totally thank you for that perspective.
That's a
That's
good one, Tiffany.
fresh. That's
Well,
very
let me just make a quick insertion. I don't want to be a thief, but
okay.
I actually heard that perspective from a guy on Black Love. And
Okay.
I was like, that's my thing. Like, I
Yeah.
had not found my thing in certain other seasons and
Mhm.
relationships,
Mhm.
because when that part is missing, we
Mhm.
can be cool. But if I can't be comfortable enough to be my whole self with you,
Mhm.
then there's now a wall we have to work through. And I don't really want to, not that I don't want to do the work, but I
Mhm.
don't want to not be myself, my whole
Absolutely.
self in a
Absolutely.
relationship. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's real good.
That's good,
Yes.
Tiffany.
Someone
Really
say Karen Walker said connection is on different levels.
good.
That's good. That's good. That's good. So let me ask you, ladies, how do you feel like it affects someone, or how has it affected you when they don't speak your love language? How has it, what does that do? How does that manifest when you're in a relationship with someone? And this can be, we're talking about romantic love right now, but any relationship that you're in, when someone does not speak your love language, is not making an effort to find out what it is, they're not tapping on the door. So you're still having a need unfulfilled. Talk to me about that. I'm gonna hit you, Tiffany, first, since you just got done talking.
Okay.
Talk to me a little bit about that. How does it affect you when someone does not speak your love language?
So I would definitely say the relationship probably grows sterile quickly.
Okay.
I don't, if it's never in multiple scenarios reciprocated, then a wall, I'm just gonna deal with you a certain kind of way. It can, and not necessarily mean or evil or mean spirited, but there's probably going to be a good distance there. Simply because I don't know what other ways, to connect with the person, which is why I said quality time is that door for, quality time, words of affirmation is the door to quality time. So if we can't get past maybe those two, then especially if I come with some humor and you just like, have a wall or extra serious, yeah, we probably won't have much. I'll leave it just where it is. There's probably an area of growth that I can learn from. I'm certainly not saying that that's the best thing to do, or even the wise thing to do, or even the Christian thing to do. But as I'm learning how to relate to people where they are, I found most honestly that is probably my response. And then I have to figure out another way. Okay, God, either, if I deem it worthy enough to pray about, God help me with this. If it's just not a relationship that I expect to see much fruit from, then I'll leave it as is.
Okay. Heather, you up there quiet. Tell me, what effect does it have when someone does not speak your love language?
For me, it creates a negative effect because if I can't, if a person can't accept my love language or try to know what it is, learn what it is, and I'm trying on my end to learn theirs, then there's a lack of balance and a lack of communication usually is probably accompanying this. So it would definitely, I'm like Tiffany, if it ain't working, it ain't working. But I will try. So I will put my efforts in to try and get, to see if we could get this going and the understanding, but it would definitely make me shut down.
Okay. What about you, Karen?
Well, you're not on the panel. Let me answer the question. I have some people trying to answer the question on the panel. So really, how does it affect me?
Cedric!
Hello. Come on in, scoot on in, brother. Scoot on in, yes.
When I say I love that man right there, he ain't never scared. Anyway, as I return to being the panelist, how does it affect me when someone does not speak my love language? Okay, so as I mentioned, my husband and I have learned over the years how to speak each other's love language, and we work at it intentionally. But when he was not speaking my language, you tend to hear what you need, and I'm words of affirmation. You hear it from other locations.
Okay, gotcha.
And, this is a sensitive topic that good Christian girls don't want to talk about.
Come on now.
But if we're being real, we know the enemy already knows where your weaknesses are. The enemy knows your areas of challenge. And so if he knows that you are a person of faith and that you're chasing after God, he's going to try you in those areas where he knows that you are struggling.
Come on
and
now.
So in the days when my husband may not have been giving me the words of affirmation, honey, you look beautiful. I love that polish on you. My favorite color on you is orange. or, et cetera, that's when you're left open and vulnerable for those affirmations to come from other places.
Mm.
And it can definitely affect you, because instead of looking to receive them from the person that you're committed to, you're okay with receiving them from other places, even if you're not looking for it from other places. And it opens you up to that. And I think that as women of faith, if we're honest, if we're keeping it real, we know that if you don't stay focused and be intentional in what you're doing, you can open yourself up when your romantic partner is not speaking that love language
Come on,
that you need,
absolutely.
and it puts your relationship in jeopardy.
Yes.
So,
Yes, that's good. That's really, really good. You guys have shared so much, and I'm going to move back and let Heather to ask. She has some questions that she wants to pose, but just hearing what you guys have shared tonight, Karen, that you kept it real good and real right there, because those are things that we don't like to talk about. We avoid that type of interaction. We avoid that type of vulnerability and confession. When things are not, you're not getting it the way you need it, the enemy will try to send you somebody who's going to supply the need. God supply needs, and he over here trying to supply needs. You see what I'm saying? And so we do have to be careful and guarded, and have on our armor and pay attention and communicate what we need to our partners, so that we can, find ourselves in a situation where we're not tempted to do things that God would not have us to do. So that was a great perspective. Heather, what do you want to share with us tonight?
Well, on another spectrum of the five love languages, I'm curious to know from this panel, how do you know what your children's love language is, and have you ever thought about it? So if you know what it is, then let us know. And then how has that affected, if it has, how has that affected your parenting type and the way that you parent them? So I'm going to start with Noelle first.
Yes, I do know what my kids' love language is. My oldest, he is he's more affectionate. I can tell by how they give love, what their love language is. My oldest, he is, he's more affectionate. So he would be, I would say, physical touch, and probably a second for him would be words of affirmation.
Okay.
The youngest one, gifts, gifts, gifts. Because it's always, he's always asking, and he, they're both very deserving of what they ask, but he does ask, for things. That's, he does always ask for things, and and not in a demanding way, but in a way as if, he's done good at something, he deserves it. And he wants to hear that yes. And so so, if it's candy involved, it might have to be some negotiating from me, in that. but that's what their love languages are.
Okay. All right. Good. That's good. Tiffany, what about you? What about your children?
So yes, I'm over here stewing, like remembering the last time we took the test. So I'm going to ask for forgiveness in advance if my memory does not serve me correctly. But I believe my daughter's is acts of service, and my son's is physical touch. Okay. Now, if the answers may have, of course, that could have been the season in which we took the test, because this was, I'm sure, about a decade ago. Okay. They are now 18 and 20, so I wouldn't kick myself terribly if I were wrong today. But I can see in what shows up in them, especially my son, now that we live together without my daughter who's in college, he has no problem, and I love this about him, just asking for what he wants. Mom, I haven't had a hug. Oh. And because I'm not physical touch, though, I do find myself on the back end like, dog, I should have, or I need to do it more, because it's so uncommon as the relationships change, as they grow, and how they, they were once, I don't know, for whatever reason, it feels like I was probably more physical touch with them when they were younger. But the older they got, you kind of assume they don't want to be seen anymore. My son actually works with me now, and one of the young ladies commented like, "Oh, he still gets, he wanted a hug before he went off back to work." And so that's his love language, and it is correcting my parenting style, is what I would say.
Oh,
Wow.
come
Wow.
on, man.
Yeah.
Okay,
Y'all deep tonight. Y'all deep here tonight. That's good.
that's a good one. That's a good one. All right,
That's
Glory,
good.
what about you? What about you and your boys?
My oldest, he's words of affirmation for sure. He likes to hear that, if you give him feedback, especially as a young adult, even growing up, but right now, being a young adult, he likes to hear feedback, how he's doing and, being the cheerleader and everything. My youngest, though, he has always been more, the affectionate type. So it's more of, kind of the touch, but not in the, more of like, he would just come next to you, and it kind of made me kind of laugh because of what Tiffany was saying about humor, because he actually likes to be silly. And he likes to make you laugh and kind of pull little pranks on you and kind of come close. And, and I'm like, boy, if you don't stop, I can do it, okay, for a little while, but I'm like,
Right.
and so, and I also sometimes would have a difficulty of making sure, like, he'll just come up and is like, Mom, give me the hug, where I haven't given the hug. And it is true about what Tiffany said about instruction. And it's taught me a lot as far as understanding and having two different children that do it totally different, even though you're bringing them almost similar away, but you're dealing with two different personalities and, a lot of love languages in one household.
Definitely. I understand. Okay, Karen, what about you and your children?
Well, I have 4, so let me start with the first one. Hers is my oldest daughter is definitely physical touch. She loves hugs. She loves kisses. And so we do a lot of that. Even she's almost 27. Wow. And so, we still give a lot of hugs and kisses, and that's good. Because as Tiffany said, it teaches me that love is still the core and the essence of everything, and it keeps me humble, and keeps me where I'm able to love and share that. So my oldest son, he is definitely words of affirmation. He loves to tell me, "What, Mommy? What you got to say? What, you don't think I tried? I did good. Mommy, what you think?" So, always trying to check me, need the words. He needs the words. So my oldest daughter, youngest daughter, I would have to say she is probably acts of service, because she's always wanting somebody to do something for her. So, and then I would probably have to say the same thing for my youngest. He's not a man of many words. He's about to be 20. He's very silent but strong, insightful. So he needs to see deeds. Let me see what you're doing. All right, Mom. Appreciate that, Mom. Yeah, appreciate that. So acts of service. So like Gloria V said, it's kind of tough juggling all these different love languages in one house, but just as Tiffany says, it corrects you and brings you back in and teaches you to stay mindful.
Yes.
Okay, good. And Andretta, what about you and your children?
Oh, my children. My oldest son, definitely, I think he's a gift man. He likes gifts. He likes new things. He loves when we give him something, send him a little something. He is definitely, I'm going to say gifts. My middle son, I'm thinking acts of service. Since he's been back from college, he wants me to do everything. So I'm feeling like it must be. It has to be acts, because that's what it's looking like. But I haven't confirmed any of this. And my youngest daughter, my daughter, she I'm going to put her, I haven't tried in this. I'm going to have them take this test though. I'm going to say that she may be words of affirmation and physical touch.
Okay.
Because she'll sit down next to me and just kind of put her hand on mine, or she'll come over and hold my hand. And for me, physical touch is not my thing. So I sit there like, okay, enjoy this, you know? And I do. And I learn to just enjoy, you know, that part of her because she's a gentle soul. And so she wants to do that. So that's where I would put them, I think. And I don't know that it will correct me going forward now that I've heard all this. I hadn't thought about it. But it will definitely lend itself to help me be more intentional about speaking to them in their own love languages. So
Okay, well, good. I think for my son, for William, it's definitely gifts. Anybody who knows William knows that he wants things on the regular.
yeah,
You know, I want to go to Walmart. I want to go to Old Navy. He told somebody he was going to Hawaii. So, hey, so for him, it's definitely the gift spirit. He definitely has the gift spirit on lock. Definitely. So my next question is, you know, in love, there has to be some level of understanding how to forgive in love. So how important is forgiveness in love to you? So I'm going to start with Gloria V. How important is forgiveness in love?
Very important. Forgiveness is not just, you know, that the other person, you know, how do I say this? It's not that the person says to you that they did wrong to you to say, hey, I'm sorry. Sometimes we have to be the ones to say and say that we're sorry. And it's more of a releasing for us. And that's important that we understand that. You know, you hear stories about, you know, things that have happened, you know, of children, things that have happened to children, you know, in court cases, and, you know, somebody had gotten shot or something, and, you know, and the family gets up and says, you know, I forgive you, understanding that, you know, that was something that they needed to let go. And that's what's important in love. You have to have that process of forgiving, and to talk about the things, to break it down as well, to understand and clarify and communicate, you know, I forgive you, but, you know, but you also have to be able to express, this is the areas where I felt hurt. This is how this made me feel. And, you know, and how we're going to now that we're, you know, done forgiveness, acceptance, where do we move on from here?
Okay, good. Tiffany, what about you?
I would definitely say it is very important, virtually mandatory. I think if you're going to say that you love someone, that is biblical or otherwise, I feel like there has to be that unconditional love. And the only way that I can see that bridge happening is through forgiveness. And so I think that you know, many times just being able to say that you are, but to have the space, because even if you're talking about with your specific love language, again, those quality times or things like that, physical touch, those I think are now vulnerable areas that you now leave on the table. Like, okay, well, because you're holding an offense. And so I think forgiveness is absolutely, just like I said, just mandatory, that because that relationship matters to you, you know, you will find a way because it matters to you. And because forgiveness has to be the door for which you can go to another level of existence and thriving with one another. So I believe it's very important.
Okay. Yes. Good. Noelle, what about you?
I think forgiveness is very important in love. You know, it just comes with having that understanding that, you know, that person is not going to get it right all the time. And, you know, although we do have expectations, you know, we do have to understand that this is a whole nother person. And they're different than, you know, than I am. So just understanding that, you know, having some understanding that that person is just not going to get it right all the time, and that that just opens up room for conversation, and how to move forward, and saying that I forgive you, and it is also for me, not just for the other person, but it's important for that person to hear it too, because like my husband doesn't want to feel like I don't forgive him, or I'm holding something against him. We got to let that go. You can't hold
Right.
on to that. It's not healthy for the relationship.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
That's
Okay.
good.
Yeah, that's good. Karen?
Well, just as my other sisters have said, forgiveness and love is essential.
Mhm.
And the essential part of it is that you have forgiven so that you know not to bring up the offense again. I
Mhm.
have witnessed in couples so many times offenses being brought up in conversation consistently. Like that time you did such and such. That's why I don't do this because you do that. And we have made a pact in my relationship with my husband that we don't bring up the offense that's been forgiven before,
Mhm.
and when it happens, if it's a slip of the tongue, a Freudian slip, as they say, we address it right there. You
Mhm.
see what you see what you just did, right? I,
Yeah,
I I thought we were resolved in that.
that's
I thought
good.
we were over that. What's going on? And then we talk about it. I think Noelle said that it opened that communication up. We need to talk about it, not bringing it up again if you have released that forgiveness and work to heal from it. So
Okay.
it's essential.
Okay. Okay, awesome. Andretta, what about you? What do you think about that?
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. I don't think you can be in relationship with anybody without having forgiveness. Without having forgiveness, you can't move on. You can't flourish. You can't grow. You can't be one. You can't. You can't. You just can't. Like Tiffany, from just also from a biblical perspective, but just in general, people are going to be human. They're going to err. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to transgress. They're going to offend. All of that will happen, not if it happens, when it happens.
Right.
And I think it's a matter of commitment to, where you stand. If your children, don't, necessarily behave. I've got grown children now, and they're making their own choices and decisions. I'm like, I don't know. We didn't discuss that, but knowing how to allow people to be who they are. And even if I feel slighted or, something about that, knowing how to just let the power of release, just releasing people and allowing people
Out.
to, to move ahead and to move forward in the release that comes to me when I let it go, because I found not letting it go ain't no good thing. And it doesn't help me. They moving on most of the time. Most of the time they happy, even if it's friendships. And, me and Heather and I are friends, and, like I said, our relationship is not perfect. We are very transparent about our relationship. But one thing we do is we talk, we deal, and we forgive. And so that we can have a lasting type of relationship. And I think that's important everywhere, no matter what type of relationship it is.
Yes, yes. And I think that another reason why it's important to forgive is because God forgives us every day,
Mm-hmm.
every single solitary day.
Yeah.
So if if that can take place in our lives, then we should be able to forgive those who we come into contact with who have offended us one way or another. So
Mm-hmm.
I definitely believe that forgiveness is very, very important in love.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let me say this: Are there any? We're coming to our closing time, and it went fast, but I enjoyed every moment of you ladies. Are there any? I want to go around the room, this virtual room that we're in together. Are there any last sentiments, any last words that you want to share about love languages, about the way you give or receive love? And I'll start with Glory. Any last sentiments about love that you would like to share before we log off tonight?
Um, I, it all started with love, and it's going to end with love. And you know, we no matter how difficult a person may be going through, or how your emotions go through, and whatever we put up as a guard, we all need love and we desire love. And so I just encourage everyone that is listening out there, that be that person who influences and gives love at all times, no matter what those relationships are, your spouses, your children, your friends, a co-worker that might need a word of encouragement, just needs to understand what love really is. And that's what I would like to share.
Okay. What about you, Tiffany? I'll go to you next.
Okay, I would actually say that I agree with Flora V, but I would, and not but, I would add that being able to love and forgive yourself, being kind to yourself, helps or has helped me learn how to be and reciprocate that to other people.
Good.
I won't say I've mastered it, but it is giving me an inward perspective to say, something that you may have struggled with may be a struggle for that other person. So it's I'm learning to practice self-care and just being kind to myself. When I think about the 9 gifts of the Spirit, kindness is one of them. And I'm like, wow, if I had to grade myself on those fruits, where am I? Because I can't give to someone something I have not given to myself, especially if I have not received the love of Christ and what He's made available and abundant to me. So that's my takeaway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, so good. What about you, Karen? What last sentiments would you like to share?
If I could share any last thing, I would say, in whether it's your romantic relationship with your children, on your job, your friends, express your needs in love. A lot of times we just go through the motions in relationships, and we don't communicate. We don't convey what we need. We don't say, I need for you to tell me that you love me. I need for you not to touch me when I'm, in that moment, or I need for you to sit close to me. I need for you to see a need and serve me.
Come on.
Speaking and communicating, being able to be mature enough to speak what you need in a relationship without fear of recourse, without fear of what will happen. It goes back to the self-care and awareness of who you are as a person, and that you can't be your best person in love, in relationships, if you don't adequately communicate what you need.
Oh, wow. So good. So good. What about you, Noel? I know, right? What about you, Noel?
I would say I would encourage others to learn their loved ones' love language. I think that is very important, and I think that can make a difference in any in every relationship. Just assuming that someone knows your love language and assuming you know theirs is not always the best way to go about it.
Right.
And if you love and care about that person enough, you would want to go a little bit deeper into that relationship, and and find those things out and be able to share those things. So that would be my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, that's good. Angie Mack said, learn and master it. Come on, Angie. That's
Amen.
awesome. All right. What about you, Heather, my counterpart? What are your last sentiments and thoughts as well?
I too, like Noel, think that it's very important that you learn your partner's love language or your friend's love language. And also understand that sometimes in life, love languages change. So being able to shift with that change is important, especially as relationships grow and get stronger. Um, people, Karen and Andretta and Glory have and Noel have been married. You all have been married for long periods of time. So things shift in relationships. So being able to shift with it, and still
Good.
being able to love and still being able to forgive all throughout these changes in life. So being able to identify it and shift with it was what I would leave.
Wow, that is so good. Can I say that, as always, ladies, you all have just wowed me. I just, when you
Yeah.
all speak, there is, I want to say, and these are my words of affirmation for you all. When you all speak, your perspective and the depth and the wealth that you share is tangible. You're not just up here talking, and that's why we invited you back,
Yep.
because the things that you all say have weight, every single one of you, and the things that you have shared tonight have been just an opportunity for people to drink from a well that will help them to develop and grow and to think and to contemplate and to start really looking into their own hearts and minds to find out where they stand with themselves, with their spouses, with their children. You know, Tiffany, you brought in a great point about self-love. You know, I wish I'd have had that perspective because I'd have thrown that up in here. We can't get it all in one night, but it was really great that you brought that in. Every one of you, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Heather as well. I know she feels the same. Thank you for coming, because what you all have shared has just been magnificent tonight. And so I'm going to leave these last sentiments with everybody else. I'm going to ask you, how is your love life? How
Mm.
is your love life? And I don't mean your romantic love life. How are you giving and receiving love? Are you loving those around you the way that you receive and give love? Or are you taking the time to find out how they need to be loved and entering into that wholeheartedly? So tonight, we want to challenge you. Tonight's pivot point tonight is two things. First, that you would have the courage and the vulnerability to share with those around you, as Karen said, how you need to be loved. And in turn, that you would have the courage to love better, to love stronger, to demonstrate that love more consistently and more courageously, but mostly by showing the love of Christ in everything that you do and in everything that you are. And if you are on here tonight, because I feel this in my heart, if you are on here tonight and you hear these ladies on here talking about love, and you hear us on here talking about our relationship with Christ and our relationship with the Lord, and you say, you know what, I've struggled in love, I've struggled in receiving love and giving love, and I've not had the best experiences in love, I want to invite you to the greatest love you will ever know. Because the Bible says, greater has no man than this, but to lay down his life for a friend. Jesus did that, and he demonstrated. If you want to see an act of service, he demonstrated that love on Calvary's cross when they pierced him in the side, and he died, rose again for the remission of our sins. When he gave you a gift, if you're looking for a gift of love, he said, oh, here's the gift. I'm going to give you the gift of salvation that will redeem you back from the hand of the enemy. So I'm going to bring you back to our Father in love. God, he took all the love languages and he
Yes.
put them on in his own life, the way he walked and the way he moved and the way he dealt and the way he communicated and the way he demonstrated. So if you don't know what that's about, I want to invite you to a relationship with the greatest love. Whitney sang about it, but we know about it. The
Yes.
greatest love of all, the greatest love that you will ever find. And if you say, listen, I don't know about that, DM us, hit us on the instant chat. We will talk to you about the love of Christ, because we can't talk about love without talking about Christ. We can't talk about love without talking about God, because every other love is predicated and really built from the foundation of that love. And so we want to say to you that we absolutely love you, and we absolutely are awesomely glad that you shared in this time with us tonight. And we hope that you have heard something tonight that will cause you to go home and look at your spouse in the eye and say, you know, I realize I haven't been speaking your language, you know, or have you look at your children and say, hey, what is it that they need? Maybe that's been some of our challenges. Whatever those things have been, I hope this tonight will allow you to go forward and do more and be more in the area of love. So we love you. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to put in the chat the 5 love languages quiz. For those of you who say, I don't know, hadn't heard of it, I want you to go and take that quiz and find out what you don't know so you can love better. All right. So, thank you, ladies, and good night to everybody. Bye-bye.